Imagine a country once richer than France, a land of endless plains and golden opportunity, where immigrants flocked for a better life. Now imagine that same country, a century later, racked by crisis, its currency shredded by inflation, its people desperate for change. What happened to Argentina? And how did a wild-haired libertarian economist, Javier Milei, explode onto the scene, chainsaw in hand, promising to demolish the old order and save his nation from ruin? Stay with me, because this is not just the story of one country's collapse and comeback. This is a tale of power, ideology, and the raw human drama of a nation on the brink. By the end, you'll see why Argentina's fate could be a warning or a blueprint for the world. Let's rewind. Argentina, 1853. A new constitution, inspired by the United States, ushers in democracy and the rule of law. The pampas, those endless grasslands, become the breadbasket of the world. Beef, wheat, and wool flow out, gold flows in. Buenos Aires rivals Paris. By the early 20th century, Argentina is among the world's 10 richest countries. Immigrants pour in by the millions, chasing the Argentine dream. But beneath the surface, tension smolders. The landed elite grow richer, while workers and immigrants demand a share. The Great Depression of 1929 hits like a sledgehammer. Exports collapse, GDP nosedives, social unrest explodes. The 1930s, democracy falters. A coup ushers in the infamous decade. Corruption, repression, and economic stagnation become the norm. Enter Juan Perón, a charismatic populist with a simple promise: justice for the workers, power to the people. He raises wages, nationalizes industries, prints money, and builds a welfare state. For a while it works, but then comes the bill inflation, deficits, and a bloated state. The cycle begins. Military coups, new strongmen, more populism, more printing, more inflation. The 1970s bring the Dirty War, a nightmare of repression, disappearances, and economic collapse. Hyperinflation becomes a way of life. The peso is shredded. Savings evaporate overnight. Fast forward to the 21st century. The world is globalizing, but Argentina is stuck in the past. In 2001, the economy implodes. Banks freeze accounts. The government defaults on its debt, the largest sovereign default in history. Poverty soars, the middle class is wiped out. Recovery comes briefly under Nestor Kirchner, but it's built on sand. More spending, more controls, more debt. Inflation returns. The next presidents, Macri, Fernandez, promise change but deliver disappointment. Then COVID hits, and the economy craters again. Out of this chaos emerges an unlikely hero, or villain, depending on your view. Javier Milei, a wild-haired economist, TV shock jock, and self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist. He calls the state a cancer. He rails against socialism, central banks, and what he calls the political caste. His rallies are rock concerts of rage and hope. He wields a literal chainsaw on stage, vowing to slash government spending, privatize everything, and dollarize the economy. The experts scoff, the establishment laughs. But the people, battered by decades of crisis, are listening. In 2023, Milei shocks the world by winning the presidency. But can one man really break a century-old cycle of decline? Or is Milei just the latest in a long line of saviors who became scapegoats? Open loops everywhere. Will Milei's radicalism spark a new golden age? Or plunge Argentina into chaos? Will his chainsaw cut through corruption or simply destroy what little safety net remains? The world watches, breath held. Let's dive into the numbers. In his first year, Milei slashes government spending by a staggering 31%. For the first time in 14 years, Argentina posts a fiscal surplus. Inflation, once spiraling out of control, plummets. though it's still high by global standards. The stock market surges, but the pain is real. Tens of thousands of public sector jobs vanish overnight. Poverty spikes at first, then as inflation stabilizes, it drops just as rapidly. Deregulation unleashes a flood of new housing construction, rents and prices fall. The private sector begins to absorb the shock. Milei's policies are radical, even by global standards. He abolishes ministries for gender and diversity, bans gender treatments for minors, and aligns himself with international right-wing figures. Some campaign promises, like abolishing the central bank and full dollarization, remain on hold for now to avoid destabilizing the fragile recovery. The country is on edge. Libertarians and conservatives hail Milei as a savior, a man finally willing to do what's necessary. Progressives and leftists see a madman, a destroyer of the social fabric. Protests erupt. Approval ratings wobble, then, unexpectedly, rise as the economy shows signs of life. The old order is gone, but the new one is untested. Every day brings new drama, new headlines, new battles in the streets and the halls of power. Just imagine. One day, a lifelong government worker receives a pink slip. That night, she sits at her kitchen table, bills piling up, wondering how she'll survive. But across town, a young entrepreneur, freed from red tape, launches a new business, hires her first employees, and dreams of a future that once seemed impossible. This is the human cost and the human hope of revolution. Scene 2, Argentina's experiment. Argentina is not alone. Around the world, nations struggle with debt, inflation, and the temptation of easy answers. Milei's experiment is being watched from Washington to Brussels to Beijing. If he succeeds, he could inspire a new wave of radical reformers. If he fails, the backlash could be catastrophic. 1 year in, the jury is still out. Milei's approval ratings climb, but the pain of adjustment is real. The old elites plot a comeback. The poor demand relief. The world's investors hedge their bets. But the facts are undeniable. For the first time in decades, Argentina is breaking the cycle. The future is uncertain, but the old certainties are gone. So what will history say? Was Javier Milei the madman who destroyed Argentina, or the visionary who saved it? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, the story of Argentina is far from over. If you found this journey through Argentina's past and present as riveting as I did, hit that like button, subscribe for more dramatic deep dives, and let me know in the comments. Is Milei a hero, a villain, or something in between? What lessons should the world learn from Argentina's chainsaw revolution?